Hi, this is Brad with Copper Creek Cuts, a lawn care company in Northeast Florida. Now, if you're in a rural area like me, seeing overgrown yards like this one, residential lawns, is not really anything new. You may be surprised to find a business in that condition, especially one that's not abandoned. But, ladies and gentlemen, today I give to you, in all its glory, Dollar General. Now, we have 6 Dollar Generals in my very small county. About 4 of them are only 1 or 2 miles from each other. All of them are in terrible shape. Let's take a look at what a fully in business Dollar General looks like. Now, right off the bat, this is not the fault of employees. It is not the employees of Dollar General's job to trim the hedges, to pick up trash, to weed the beds. What happens with a company as large as Dollar General is that they cannot or will not maintain their own property. So they get someone who is a national property management company, and they say, hey, we've got 16,000 locations, we want you to manage them. What those companies do is send out bids for the lowest amount possible and say, hey, we want you to take care of the Dollar General on State Road 121 in McClenny, Florida. Those management companies, they say to Dollar General, or Dollar General says, I don't know which one, here's a certain amount of money for each one. You know, get the work done for this amount. So that property management is a middleman, and they want to keep as much of that money as they can, which means they get the absolute cheapest people they can to do the work. And I think that's part of the reason why you'll see properties like this that are really just in not good shape and they're not maintained. Like this giant wall of viburnum, I can guarantee you this wasn't this big when they planted it. Here's the curb. Here's the curb, right? They have lost 5 feet of road because nobody trims these things. Look at this. Trash, old leaves. Huge pile of trash. Whoever was doing some work said, nah, I don't need to haul the debris away. I'll just throw it in the corner. Part of this is a little bit of a bummer because Dollar General, I mean, it's a Dollar General, so I'm going to sound like a hillbilly saying this, but they put up what I think are good looking buildings. You know, they don't build trashy stores. They build what I think are cute, presentable stores. And then nobody takes care of the landscaping, at least in my neck of the woods. So they look like some of the worst properties when they could look like some of the best. So at least in this strip, it looks like it has been mowed in the last couple of weeks, but like nobody does the edging, nobody picks up trash. These landscaping beds are a nightmare. Nobody touches these. So the ground cover in here is just weeds. There's no mulch to speak of, which I guess that's one approach to low impact management. So I think these are the shrubs that are supposed to be here. All of this stuff is just trash that's grown up because nobody takes care of it. All these cracks in the weeds. I mean, weeds in the cracks. This thing's so bad it's starting to affect my English. Another part of the issue is that this is just such a huge property that to actually maintain it the way it should be, I'm sure is more than Dollar General would ever want to spend on regular maintenance. Another landscape bed that's, you know, no mulch to speak of, it's just grass. These hedges are not terrible. It looks like it's been several months since someone did them, but believe it or not, we'll see worse. Okay, that didn't take too long. Here's your worst. This oak tree hasn't been maintained at all. This area here looks, man. Nobody's doing weed control or anything on the cracks. This is the sidewalk that gives access to the Dollar General. You can see here, this is a main sidewalk, and then there's an L that comes off. As we go down the sidewalk, these runners have completely taken over, and that is down the entire stretch. I don't even know what this sign's supposed to say. I'm assuming it's something to do with whatever is here, but I mean, this is a major road. Well, I say major, at least in terms of our area, nothing compared to a big city. But this is what people see. Somebody's passing through and this is what they see. That doesn't give our town a very good impression. Oh, hey, awesome, a Dollar General. We needed some supplies for our road trip. Oh, you know what? Maybe let's just skip it and go to the next one. It's been at least a month or more since this area was mowed. These hedges, ugh. the issue with building new things and like paving this entire area is that the rain that used to fall on this ground now it runs off, right? So all this non-permeable surface that we've walked over, that water has to go somewhere. What happens when you build a place like this is you'll always have some type of stormwater management system. In this case, we've got this big retention pond back here. When mature growth happens on retention ponds, like those fennel weeds are probably, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 months old, but it impacts this place's ability to filter out that water, which is not what you want. So, you know, all the stuff we've looked at is cosmetic up until this, which this actually could functionally damage the property or some of the surrounding areas, because that stormwater management system that whatever engineers put in place, it can't do its job. So you can see all these weeds growing up in the beds. There's trash and dead leaves in all of them. Weeds that are all encroaching on the sidewalks, parking spaces. So these are some kind of palmetto or saw or mully grass, I don't know what. Those are probably supposed to be there. But all this stuff, probably where there should have been mulch, is just weeds. So you may say, Brad, that's just one location. You can't blame Dollar General for just one location. And to be clear, I'm not blaming anybody, but you do raise a good point. This is just one location. So let's go 2 miles down the road and look at another one in our city. And unfortunately, our next location looks similar. You can see bushes that are not maintained, a stormwater management system that simply cannot be expected to do its job. It looks like we might have some bushes growing out of the stormwater drain. The parking lot has some bad drainage issues. It does look like in this location the grass is mowed a little bit better. We also have, it looks like maybe 5 or 6 feet of trees growing onto the building, so nobody trims that back tree line. They probably haven't touched it since the place was built. This is what it looks like from the ground, and that is just going to let critters and vermin have access to the roof of that building and get in there. These air handlers, I don't know what this does for their efficiency, but it doesn't seem like it would be good to have all this sticks and leaves falling on them, accumulating over the years. The side of the building needs some pressure washing bad. Location number 3 was actually closed for remodeling, so maybe they get a little bit of a pass for some of this stuff. But again, pretty much the same. It does look like the grass was mowed recently, but nobody touches the retention or detention ponds. They'll only mow so close, they don't get any closer. It looks like for the regular mowings, they pick a spot they don't want to mow past, and that just is the boundary, so everything past that grows tall. The landscape beds, you can see they did trim them, but lots of leaves, lots of trash everywhere. This is a good example of what I think a newer, cute Dollar General is. These buildings are attractive to me, but just don't look at the landscaping, right? Again, very similar. Parking lot areas overgrown with weeds. The retention pond has never been touched. We had bushes growing out of the drains before. I think now we have a legitimate tree growing out that cannot be good for that drainage system. You can see all the weeds spilling over the curbing. The edging's never done. This area of grass is not mowed. This is actually an oak tree. That's not a shrub. That's an oak tree that hasn't been trimmed in so long, it now looks like just some kind of crazy shrub. The access point for this place is not maintained. A landscape bed full of grass, full of weeds, full of trash. This backyard and the septic mound have not been mowed in some time. Again, the edging isn't done. This location, I think, is the worst. It's all the same things we've seen up until now. The beds are not maintained at all. The retention pond is never mowed. We have mature trees showing that it hasn't been mowed in years. Trash everywhere. No mulch to speak of. This is a drain that has become so clogged it actually has grass growing in it, so that can't do its job. You know it's bad when you almost can't read the tow-away zone sign. And another thing that may come up in your mind is, man, whoever owns these 6 stores, they're just a bad franchisee. But to complicate matters further, there are actually 6 different owners for each of these 6 locations. Every single one of these stores has a different owner, a different franchisee owner. I mean, unless they're doing some really creative book cooking and this is one big conglomerate that just has 6 different names, I doubt folks would get that sophisticated with Dollar Generals, but I don't know. But let me know what the Dollar Generals around you look like. Is this something that's just because I'm in a rural county in Northeast Florida, or do the Dollar Generals near you suffer the same fate? Neglected landscaping, tall grass, of a pretty building that could be attractive, but for the fact that nobody seems to care about keeping up the outside. Let me know what you think, and as always, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it.